Hey guys, what's up? This is Michael Evans. Today I wanted to share a fun project with you. My build of the Back to the Future Part 2 Cafe 80s Robot Waiter. That's kind of a mouthful, I know. This is the prototype, essentially a version 1.0, but I intend to develop a more polished and screen-accurate version in the future. Looking back, I wish I had taken more progress videos and photos of this build, but I'm hoping that what I have will be sufficient. Like many of you, Back to the Future is one of my favorite film series of all time. There's a special kind of magic that came from these films, the creativity and the sense of wonder that all came together in a way that still captures my imagination. While I love all three films equally, this project focuses on Back to the Future Part 2 and its portrayal of the future of 2015, which funny enough right now is 10 years ago. The Cafe 80s scene in particular is a standout. It's chaotic, retro-futuristic, and full of clever design. Among the many great details, the robot waiter really stuck out to me. I've built several props and costumes from this trilogy over the years, but this prop was one that I really wanted to tackle. And I may continue with building the Pepsi bottle table with the real working cylinder that pops up. A big inspiration for me was when I walked into a local retro 80s style cafe and saw how this prop could really elevate their space, or any space for that matter. The first step for me was to rewatch the Cafe 80s scene over and over again. That wasn't such a chore. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of readily available reference material or behind the scenes documentation of these actual props, or at least that I could find, so I had to make some educated guesses based on the film footage. I started with sketches, and then I created detailed vector drawings in Adobe Illustrator. This helped to establish dimensions and proportions and gave me a better sense of materials needed and how everything would fit together. I was fortunate to have temporary access to a CNC machine, which allowed me to cut the core shapes out of a 3/8-inch plywood. The yellow arm pieces were the first hurdle. My initial assumption about their shape was off. They weren't stacked layers, but actually had a 45-degree chamfer. I corrected this using epoxy resin putty, sanded to shape. It worked, but I had to modify the oblong shapes within the arms to make everything fit correctly. In hindsight, starting over might have been faster, but I guess this is how we learn. The peripheral shapes, like the black circles and pink triangles, were CNC cut out as well and finished by hand with a router and sander. Another challenging element in this build was the tray section below the monitor. The film version looks like a single molded plastic piece, but I don't have the tools for that kind of work. Instead, I used a 1/4-inch rigid foam wrapped around a pine rectangular frame. This base plate then sat upon a lower plate made up of small wooden pieces and filled with epoxy resin. After completing this part of the build, I could see the small discrepancy in the size of the bottom front of the tray in comparison to the film prop. I built 2 of these at a time, so I can correct this in the 3.0 version. I'm not certain as to what technology was used for the movie prop's screen, since the side view shows that it only goes back a few inches, yet the screens have that convex-shaped glass like that of an old CRT TV. Those are usually bulky and heavy. So to keep weight and size manageable for my build, I used a flat computer monitor. Once I had the dimensions for that, I was able to start building the back box, which goes about 3 inches deep, and that houses the back of the monitor, the media player, the audio speaker, and the power supply cables. The entire tray section is currently attached with a lightweight aluminum bracket. This works for now, but I would like to reinforce it with something more substantial for the updated version. The same goes for the plastic backing and flat plate that sits behind the monitor. This was made from Sintra or PVC, which is flexible but not ideal for long-term structural support. All of the pieces are mounted on a 1.5 aluminum square pipe. Attaching this orange piece to the aluminum pole was a little tricky because of how narrow the space was. I'm hoping to find a better solution for the second build. Ideally, it should be the full width of the pole to sit flush with the yellow arms. So from the backside, I used foam as a spacer. The black circles, pink triangles, and other decorative elements are attached with Velcro for easy removal and reattachment. They're labeled for quick setup, which is helpful for transport and repairs. The red cover on top of the monitor was made from 3 separate wooden pieces, shaped and smoothed to resemble the film's version. It's not perfect, but hopefully the second version will get closer. For video play, I used a simple media player controlled by remote. I recreated 13 menu items seen in the film and loaded them onto a USB stick to auto-loop on the monitor. I also added some vintage Pepsi and Max Headroom commercials to match the vibe, although this commercial with Max Headroom is for Coke. Unfortunately, I couldn't find raw footage of the Michael Jackson and Ronald Reagan waiter scenes. I managed to pull a few seconds from the film and edit it just enough to give a taste. The monitor connects via VGA to HDMI converter to the media player, and audio plays through a portable speaker connected with an aux cable, though I hope to have a speaker remote for the next build. I considered adding an XY axis as well as the rotation movement like you see in the film, but for now it's mounted stationary to the ceiling. Total weight is around 75 pounds, and while that's manageable, it's not super portable without disassembly. I plan to refine the rigging if I ever do a live installation or event. The JVC letters on the tray were modeled in Fusion, then 3D printed. I also recreated the physical menu that sits on the tray, filled with humorous recycled text like Reagan scrambled salad and Princess Di spud cake. These little details are part of what makes the film and this build so much fun. The film references that focus on this prop are quick and sporadic, so I had to study these references with scrutiny. The lighting in this scene also made it challenging to really understand the full colors and textures. It was a little challenging, but also creatively freeing in that I could sort of just decide what I wanted to do as I went along, and then make refinements in future builds. I definitely learned a lot from this build, and I hope it inspires somebody out there to build something of their own. Thanks so much for visiting. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear your thoughts or see your own Back to the Future builds.